Yo, what's
Yes.
going on, people? Back again. You know what time it is. You know what flavor it is. It's Raps on TV, the best things in boxing. What's going on? Here with the co-host, Sam. How you doing, sir?
What's happening? I'm all good. You must be happy. Arsenal signed Thomas Partey. Welcome to the party, man.
As they say in Ghana, pate after pate. Hey,
yeah,
listen,
for real.
I know this is a boxing one, but yeah, on the level of football, that's a huge signing for us. Like on so many different levels. Yeah, we got Dave just coming in now, but yeah, on so many different levels, it's a huge signing. What's going on, Dave? You good?
Apologies, it was the technical difficulties, I'm afraid, but
we will get them, man. We will get them. Man,
exactly, but yeah, no, we was having a quick chat about a little bit about the Arsenal. Great signing for the boys. Yeah, really happy with that. I mean, Thomas Partey is the kind of player that, you know, a lot of squads could do with, but definitely Arsenal. You know, we've got a bit of fragility in the middle of the park, but now we're bringing that Ghana power, baby. But how's everyone? Sam, how you doing?
Bro, I'm good, man. I'm good. I think boxing this weekend was good. I'm happy boxing was on a Sunday instead of a Saturday, and I hope it comes regular. But no, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here and everything. And boxing, we've been saying boxing's back from a while, but after the past 2 weeks, I felt like, wow, it's basically like there's been no lockdown, except, you know, fans aren't able to go and we're not ringside doing what we do best. So, yes, happier. What's happening, Dan? Looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yes, look forward to it, exactly. Dave, how you doing, man? You well?
Yeah, good. Yeah. Getting those interviews in. Just spoke to Eko Usman not so long ago as well. So getting a lot of footage in, and sent one of the other guys over to Ellis Hopkins' gym earlier on as well today. So loads of stuff coming out there. But like you, Sam, as well, boxing being on a Sunday, it was a wanted sort of thing, wasn't it? I think the last fight I can remember was Tony Bellew, wasn't it, against Makabu?
Yes.
Yeah, matchroom show. What an event that was as well. I mean, I welcome it. I think we should have more shows on a Sunday, to be fair, because there's nothing else going on, is there, right?
100%. Now football's changed up. Corona schedule's changed up.
Yeah, and I think as well with the goal aftermath of Man United, Liverpool, and then the boxing as well. It was a great day for sports, wasn't it?
Oh, unbelievable! Sky couldn't have done a better job.
I was going to say, Sunday was a mad one because you just saw, like you said, you saw the results, and you're just thinking, blimey, you know, 6-1, 7-2, and then yeah, the boxing wasn't too bad. I think we're going to definitely kick into that. And it was a strange one because that was really the only card of the weekend, really. And yeah, like you said, it was on a Sunday, but it was good. But I got to say, Dave, big up. I mean, yeah, you've been putting out a lot of videos. I saw you speak to one of our previous guests, Hamza Shiraz. Got a lot of time for him. It was a really good interview as well. So yeah, you're putting in the work. Keep it up.
Yeah. I mean, Hamza at the minute is hot property as well. Being a super welterweight, there's a lot of noise about him at the moment. So definitely one for the future. Hopefully they can sign the fight with him and Ted Cheeseman if Frank and Eddie actually hands over a table. That will be an absolute
huge. Yeah. Listen, everyone's talking about this in the gyms, bro. As coach knows, I'm always in the gym, every kind of amateur boxing club whenever I can, and all I hear about is Cheeseman, Shiraz, and Hamza's such a humble guy. He brings such a huge following. Both guys do. You've got the Bermondsey guys, you've got the Asian Islamic community in which Hamza Shiraz brings, and that if that was in 02, I think that would do numbers. I would think it would do numbers the same as Isaac Chamberlain versus Nicoli all those years ago. Seems like ages ago now, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Who wins in your opinion, Coach? Talk to me.
What, Hamza Shiraz versus Cheeseman? Good one. You know what? I'll be honest with you. I would back Shiraz. I think with Cheeseman, I think he's a tough fighter, and I think it would be the right fight for Hamza to kind of get his name to the next level. With Cheeseman, I think, you know, if Hamza fights smart, I think he could keep him at the end of the jab for the majority of the fight. I'm not saying it's a knockout, but I can see the point swing coming. But I think, Cheeseman, what he doesn't show, in my opinion, is that he's kind of just moving forward. He just keeps walking forward. He doesn't necessarily set traps for the opponent. He's not necessarily a great counter puncher. He's just a hunter. He just hunts you down, tries to weigh you down. And I think Hamza, with his height, he's got good skill set. I think he could keep him at bay. Yeah.
You're going Hamza. Dave, who you going?
At this present moment, I'll probably say, and don't get me wrong, Cheeseman is a fantastic athlete as well. But I think youth, even though Cheeseman's not that old, I'll probably go with Hamza. I think he's very talented, and we haven't really seen his peak yet as well. I mean, imagine him in years to come already WBO European champion at Super Welter. It's good. So yeah, I'd probably back Hamza on that one at this present moment in time.
Yeah, everyone says in the gym, Hamza, like Ted should stay away from Hamza, and the old saying when the amateur coaches are really backing their guy Hamza over someone like Ted. Hamza's a guy to really do the business. I think he's got all the attributes. Like I said when he came to the studio some months ago, we just felt that star presence. Like he generally had star written all over in terms of how he spoke, how he thought about things, and ultimately, like on your first day of signing with even the signing with Frank Warren, he must have had like a load of people like packing up the shops and the roads just to see this guy come out. His first day, his first fight, I think he sold 400 tickets, which is absurd.
It's impressive. I mean, the way I was introduced to him was quite funny, actually. I was at the O2, waiting in line for one of the press conferences. I think it was, I can't even remember the fight, to be fair. I was there with my camera. You know how you do. You're waiting for your line for the press conference. Get a tap on my shoulder. It's TB, Hamza's manager. Very persistent guy, very good guy. And he says, I've got this new signing here. He's from Frank Warren. You guys are Boxing Voice. And I said, yeah, Boxing Voice and Punch Out Boxing. And he goes, this guy, you want to interview him now? He's going to win this title. Put the camera in front of Hamza's face, and I thought, who is this kid? And then afterwards, I thought, wow, he's gone on to do some very good things. And I think if he does beat Ted Cheeseman in a year's time, it's a good scalp for him as well, for things to come. And humble as well. He knows that Cheeseman will cause him a problem as well, He's not making it a foregone conclusion. But he did say to us a few weeks ago, he said, his words, not mine, but he said, anyone at 154 will get dealt with. So he kind of had that stern message as well, which I do like as well. There is a bit of spite in him, a bit of venom.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you. I mean, yeah. So, and I'll say, just moving on, because I know it's good to talk about Hamza. He's a great guy, but like I said, for those of you that want to check out Dave's video, he works at the TBV, but also Punch Out Boxing. You see a lot of his videos in our group, so yeah, make sure you check out his videos, like, share, subscribe. The guys, I think, best place to start from the weekend at the boxing at the weekend, Joshua Buatsi. And the reason why I want to start there, I think, for somebody that was supposed to be touted as the golden boy, I think, towards the end of last year, everybody was saying 2020 is going to be Buatsi's year. Sky are backing him. This was his first headline show. Obviously, he had one last year that was postponed. We came into this fight, and then we're hearing he's fighting Calic. I don't know much about him at all. Then all I heard was that he had beat Alan Babbage twice in the amateurs. So you're like, whoa, like what kind of weight class is this guy? Then I saw the weigh-in, and I was like, wow, the height difference is going to be something. What did you guys think of? I want to say we know that he got the win, but what did you think of the performance from Buatsi? And what do you think it means for him in terms of his next step? Either one.
Dave, you go first, bro.
I was going to say, I mean, we have to consider one thing as well. When Buatsi was out in action last, and I think this year in particular, it highlights one thing. Mm-hmm. At the minute, there is no compulsive sort of A-side. I've seen people that were supposed to win very easily struggle against opponents that on paper they should have ripped apart. So Buatsi, for the amount of time his head out the ring and still get the victory under these sort of weird times. Fair play to him. You know, he stopped him. It'll be interesting to see what's next for him on the horizon. You know, I'd love to see a fight with him and Yard, for example. You know, I'd love to see a fight between him and Callum Johnson and things like that. You know, find out who the best in England is. But if we are going to criticise and say, you know, could he have taken this guy out earlier and so on and so forth, I'd say no, because everyone is under that scrutiny at the minute, which is there's a lot of pressure. There's no crowd. You don't know what the opponent's going to bring. Coach, you've been quite honest. You've never heard of this guy. You know, yeah, I haven't heard of him. Sam, have you heard of? Did you hear of him?
No.
Unknown quantity, is it? We don't know what the other man's bringing at the moment. The other person's bringing to the table. For Buatsi to put on in my opinion, an expected a good display. You know, he had to do what he had to do, and he did it. So good stoppage.
Agree, Sam.
Yeah, no. To add to that, Dave, you said it spot on. I think there's this notion with Buatsi, like you said, that he's a golden boy and he's very religious and does nothing wrong and everything like that. And people forget that he's still actually learning on the job as he's getting really fast tracked into the top levels and the top ranks because of the expectation of, you know, him being signed to not just Joshua but also Hearn and having the amateur pedigree and everything coming in. So there's a lot of pressure on this guy's shoulders. Coming into the fight now, I think I don't know if anybody watched AJ's live stream, but I really respect his commentary. He was breaking down the fight as it was, and his opponent was kept throwing in threes, and I think he was going with the right left hook right, and that kept catching Buatsi, and that was the shot that allowed that opened up the cut to the wound, to the top of the eye, and that he kept doing it, and Josh was just kind of making adjustments, and to me, even though he got the win, and fantastic he got the win, but it showed me that this guy is able to make mid-term adjustments. And if the plan does not go his way, he's able to adapt. And to me, that's true championship qualities that he's showing in terms of being able to adapt and make adjustments. And when he caught him with the looping overhand right, he kept hitting him with that. He then just exposed him and then just went in for the kill. But no, great performance from him in terms of a learning fight, not in terms of this is the best with Buatsi we're seeing, but I was just impressed about the adjustments he made. Kind of reminds me as to when, because he was actually losing the fights in some of the rounds. But if you're looking at in comparison to his mentor Joshua, or whatever, when he was fighting Povetkin, let's not forget in the first 3 rounds, Povetkin had him. Joshua before he made the adjustments. So
and I think and I did want to speak on that because everybody's kind of focused and said, you know, he got hit quite a lot. It did seem like there was, I'm going to say, not a lack of head movement, but it was like, even if Buatsi, he landed some punches, he didn't move his head to the side, and when he would kind of like get hit, it wasn't like he was even trying to evade him at all. He did seem quite static in his movement. However, what I do think, and I'm sure you both more or less said this, what impressed me was the ability to adjust. I think a lot of these, if we're going to be honest, the golden boys, they tend to have really easy kind of pick and fights. I think this guy's come in and he's totally just kind of like surprised everyone. Whereas now people are thinking, oh, they can beat Buatsi. But I actually think, you know what, if you make that mistake, you'll be at your peril, because Buatsi kind of showed he's got a tough chin. The amount of shots that he took, which really he shouldn't ever take, you know, like probably the most amount of shots in his career in that one fight. I think he showed he's got a really good chin. And what I did think, which was clever, was that he was continually going to the body. So, you know, rather than just try to get in with the jab or try to get a headshot to help close the distance, he seemed to want to work the body, and he seemed successful doing that. I mean, I just want to ask you guys your thoughts, though. You know, Callum Johnson, Anthony Yard, all of these guys are probably looking at Buatsi thinking he's easy food. Do you think that's a mistake for them to think like that?
Absolutely. You don't write off someone like Buatsi just based on that one performance. It's like, remember, obviously, but Danny Garcia versus Herrera. You know, Danny had a bad day at the office. But is that one fight defining him when he beat when he beat Khan.
What's the names?
You don't focus on the negative, and I suppose if people are thinking like that, then write off Buatsi at your peril, as you said, Sam, because it will be a fantastic fight. If people are going in that one with that mindset. We are up for a fantastic fight, whether it's Callum Johnson, whether it's Anthony Yard versus Buatsi. It will be fire. To be fair, if people are thinking like that, and that's what we want to see as well, right?
Yeah, no, of course, I completely agree. People should not underestimate Buatsi just based off of that performance. There's no crowd. This is very unusual times, and let's forget he's had a year plus out the ring, and he's had fights cancelled on not just one occasion but several occasions. So that will have its toll when he hasn't been able to really get his mojo and like the momentum and build it up. So I think that's a good performance. I also think that with him, a guy that can make an adjustment is a dangerous fighter. So you've got to be able to bear that in mind and take that in. All the best have done it. Floyd Mayweather, how he makes adjustments against when he was losing Shane Mosley halfway through the fight, and he made the adjustments to come out victorious. So, he's got multiple game plans. But see, Yard, Johnson, I'm looking forward to see it. But also his opponent, don't be surprised because of his opponent's performance if he's going to start fighting all the likes of Yard and Johnson. Because to me, I think he's earned his name. That's someone who's really been able to take it out with Buatsi.
I mean, another thing to consider as well is, we're forgetting Shakan Pitters in this as well. Craig Richards.
Shakan Pitters.
Sorry, what was that, Coach?
I'm saying Shakan Pitters as well. He's in that division.
Yep, yeah. Shakan Pitters. I mean, those guys again on in November, I think, for the title. Yep. So that's going to be an interesting fight as well. So I think that the division is kind of opened up, and then we've got Dan Aziz as well, who put a fantastic display in against Andre Sterling. So there's so many. We're littered with a division which we need to find out who the best in England is, and world level, Buatsi is definitely up there as well. We're littered with talent in here, and it's a fantastic division, isn't it, guys?
Big time, fantastic division. I mean, even like you said, domestically, internationally, I think we're definitely we're intrigued with a lot of tough fights and potentially tough matchups. So moving on, I think really for Buatsi, he needs to kind of lick his wounds. Obviously, we saw the damage to the eye, but I think he needs to kind of take the positives. He didn't go down. Yes, he took some big shots, but he showed that he's a tough character, tough fighter, and he had a game plan, and it kind of was executed. I do think the element of surprise with this opponent is probably where the issue was. Probably he wasn't the best matchmaking, but at the same time, I think Buatsi's learned so much from this type of a fight. I think you could chuck him in with a Sullivan Barrera now because he's worked out. When the guy's taller than me, he's got longer range, he's got a powerful shot. How he can potentially learn to avoid the shots, but at the meantime, he can take a punch. So I think he's done really well. Moving on, we saw another domestic grudge match. Got quite tasty in the weigh-in in their face-to-face. John Harding Jr. and Linus Udofia, two guys that have also been on the platform. I mean, what did you guys think of that fight? Sam, I'll start with you.
Bro, Udofia backed up all his talk, man. He backed it up. I remember he came on and he was just saying, look, it's a no-brainer. And the way he was so nonchalant about everything and how self-assured he was, it was almost like it was written to be. And shout out to John Harding Jr. He's a guy. He's always calling all the raps and always supported us. But I just felt Linus had this ooze of just arrogance and confidence. Like I said, he's almost like that David Hay-esque type of no one's getting through me. And he's just like, look, he even put in his name English champion, and he said it's gonna happen, it's gonna remain, it's a no-brainer when he got the fight. So good, big up him, and John Harding Jr. will come again. He's a tough guy. The team there, the Maximum Violence team, he'll come back and build again. But really, for Udofia, it's kind of almost an upwards from there. He's been on the stage, people have seen him now, and hopefully he can crack on with his career and move on. But great win, great fight, and he also showed he could take some hits as well. all round positive for me. I'm impressed.
Yeah. And Dave?
I think John Hardy Jr. with his story as well outside the ring, it's a fantastic story as well, and that sells it, doesn't it? Good build-up as well, like you just said, Sam, and it reminded me a bit of the beef that Coley and Chamberlain, and calling each other out and everything, and it was a good fight. I mean, with the maximum violence team at the moment, they've had highs and lows, and I think he's going to come again. To be fair, I really do. A good stable behind him, hasn't he? And a good sort of mantra with Babby, Damien White, and everything like that. So he will come again. And there was another grudge match, kind of a grudge match with Akim Fiaz and Baker as well. Did you guys watch that? That was a good battle as well, wasn't it? To be fair,
I was good. To be fair, and I'll speak on that. With the Akim Fiaz, it's the first time I watched him. I have to say I hadn't seen him before, and I liked him. I think. How can I say? I have to be honest. I thought Kane Baker applied pressure, but I think Fiaz was just too smart for him. Like at all like even when he was in the corner, he was able to bob and weave at such a pace that literally it felt like Kane, or the Barker guy, didn't know what he was doing. And I think Fiaz showed the level that Barker was at, because I understand that he had come through the white collar boxing rank, and I think you could see Fiaz was levels above this guy. Not just thinking about your shot selection, just the movement around the ring. And this is was that Fiaz? Was that his 5th or 6th fight? It was quite. How many fights has he had?
Wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was 5 or 6, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So. I was impressed. I think he's still, again, it's a tough division. But I think what we saw that night, given that they should have had this fight in the bubble, I think they tried to sell it Fiaz didn't really want it, or but I don't know. They tried to make out like Fiaz was scared, basically. But I don't think we saw any of that. I thought we saw a really good performance, and I have to say, probably one of the standout performers of the night, purely because he made his fight the most easiest out of all of them. I don't know if you would agree or disagree.
Yeah, I think I think there was a class difference there in terms of I've done this. It's kind of stamping his authority with every jab, wasn't he, and every hook and every shot. Like, I've done this amateur level, I've done this at national level. You are a white collar thing, and no disrespect to Kane Baker, because every person who gets in the ring deserves respect and so on and so forth. But when you guys see when the scorecards were read out and he walked away, there's been some kind of injustice. I mean, I didn't see the injustice, speaking, and no disrespect to Kane, by the way. I think it was a bang on sort of performance. As a grudge match. Yeah.
And I think actually just on that, I wanted to say you're right, and this is why I think when people just think, oh, you're the aggressor, or you're moving forward, it means you're winning the rounds. Not at all, because like I said, fair enough. Probably there were some rounds where Fiaz was just literally bobbing and weaving, and but Baker couldn't lay a glove on him. So does that mean because he's trying to push the fight, he gets the round? No, because guess what? Fiaz would be able to counter and hit you with a jab. You know what I mean? It's just that one shot, body shot.
No, exactly, bro. I completely. Do you know what that reminds me of? You saying that is just remember when O'Hara Davis fought Josh Taylor, and Josh Taylor was on the back foot quite a lot of time. He was just taking his time, and the tactics was just to catch him on the ropes. And if you notice, when he knocked him out, OD was coming at him in the corner, trying to corner him out, coming with the shots. Literally, what Josh Taylor did was the catch, hook, and counter. Catch. He stopped the fight. That was class. But that's another example of you don't need to be marching forward to know that you're winning the fight or be in any position to win the fight, because it can all just change with just a few slight adjustments in tactics. But, yeah.
Going back a few weeks, guys. I had this similar sort of, because we're with my colleagues in different sort of channels and so on and so forth. The Denzel Gately versus Mark Efron fight. Now, very difficult to score, and you could say Mark was the aggressor. So okay, you could give it him. But then I scored it slightly different, whereas I think Denzel did enough to win because of his evading and the knockdown. How did you guys see that fight? I know we're going back a few weeks now, but I never caught up with you on that. But that was, again, a come forward aggressor versus Denzel, who changed it up slightly and boxed out for. How did you guys score that?
If I don't remember off the top of my head. I actually think I did score it a draw though, and from what I remember,
no, you did, bro. You did.
Did I score it a draw? Yeah.
Yeah, you called. You messaged me. It was like, yeah, this is definitely a draw.
Yeah, because I just remember with Bentley, I felt he looked good at the start, and I think he dropped Heffron early. Am I right in thinking that he landed a big shot? Yeah, but then I think towards the end, it was like Bentley wasn't doing anything. So whilst he was on the back foot, he wasn't even countering with the jab or anything. And I just felt Heffron was applying pressure. So I think at the time, the balanced sort of viewer in me was like, yeah, I've kind of got to give that round to Heffron. So I think, I want to say I gave it a draw, but it was a very close fight, a good fight as well.
Yeah, aggressive boxing. So yeah, very similar to that.
Yeah, but I think Fia's a level above, though. I have to say, I don't know. Definitely. I know what you're saying, and it's similar, but for me, I felt Akinfenwa, he was just like, even though he was on the back foot, like it was countering. Do you know what I mean? Like that. Is it Charlie Edwards? Who's the younger one? Charlie Edwards?
Sonny.
Yeah, that kind of style. You know that just moving around, bang, sticking out the jab, sticking it. Yeah, I like what.
Going back to Bentley and Heffron, so I said Denzel's actually supposed to jump on the show this week. Hopefully, we should be able to get him on. But when we were talking to him, the thing is, I don't know why he kept going into the ring, because he was going to the corners, because he was his strongest when he was standing his ground, doing that lateral movement and switching up from southpaw and orthodox. That was confusing the hell out of Heffron, and that led to flash lockdown. I don't know why the game plan changed. Maybe he might have had an injury. We don't know. So. He might have had to adjust, but I just felt when he was going to the corners, even though he was, there's a difference between like the way Josh Taylor would go in the corners, he looked confident. I just felt Bentley wasn't that confident. I felt Bentley was getting out but he was almost getting bullied into the corners when he was getting backed in, and that was kind of that's where Heffron felt that he was, I've got you right there. But ultimately, I definitely want to see that rematch if it does happen, because
sure,
both of those guys need to do what they need to do there.
Going to be a good one, man.
I think it's going to be a good one. Yeah, 100%. And then just before I go back with the Harding Jr., I think, like you touched on that, Dave, he's got a great story. I think he can come out with a lot of credit, because I'm going to be honest, when you look at it back on reflection, like Udofia is like nearly 10 years junior. Udofia's got a lot of energy. He's got that athletic shape, but he's got a lot of power. He likes to throw power shots. If you remember, he was throwing a few uppercuts, which you just missed, and you think, boy, if those had landed. So Harding Jr. trains well, and I think it's that training and his mindset that allowed him to stay as late as he did in the fight. I do think the ref stopped it too early, and I'm not saying he wasn't being hurt. I just think if you would let him recover, I think he would have stayed on his feet, and I think he would have finished the fight on his feet. I think I've seen a lot more guys get battered, and the ref just still lets them go into the corner. So. I felt for him on that, because he wouldn't have wanted 2 losses, 2 stoppages. But I think he hold his head up with a lot of credit, because you know what, a lot of guys can't change their life around, and that was and it was a big stage, when you deep it, like you were saying, Sky Sports, the first fight like that's on. I know the Liverpool score might have distracted some people at the time, but overall, a lot of people would have been watching that. So. Yeah, I think he's got to give himself a lot of credit, Yeah, he's got to give himself a lot of credit.
100%. I mean, sometimes we say that the ref or the corner, they stop it a bit too early. And sometimes we say, why didn't they stop it too early? There's been quite a few examples. I mean, a fight that I watched, and you guys watched probably a few, I think it's been about a month ago, which reminds me of something similar to some extent. Alex Dilmagani. Sam, what was his name, for the European title? Do you guys watch that? And the ref stopped in the last 10 seconds of the 12th round.
Which one was it?
Alex Dilmagani. It was on Channel 5, one of the shows.
I think there was 3 shows that night, though, isn't it? I missed that one because there was another show on. Yeah,
and the ref stopped it literally in the last 10 seconds of the 12th round, and gutted for Alex. Sometimes think, was it the right call? And thankfully, we will be in a position where we think we never will know, because both fighters have come out of there well. And John, reverting back to John, he will come again. This ain't the end, is it? For someone that talented.
Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think he will come back again, and we'll go from there. So moving on, though, I think it's been a lot of news. I think one of the key, is it really key news? I think the biggest news. And I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Devin Haney versus Gamboa. That's been announced. That's taking place on DAZN. But I want to get you guys' thoughts because a year ago, Gervonta Davis fought Gamboa, and he got a lot of stick going into the fight, and he got a lot of stick after the fight in terms of the result. Do you think this is the right option for Devin Haney to choose, considering, let's remember, he is the WBC champion?
Yeah, but he's always felt that he needs to prove himself because he didn't outright traditionally win the belt. It was just kind of handed to him. And let's not forget his controversy.
By email, yeah.
Yeah. Let's not forget his controversy that he's been having with some of the he's made about other races and how he's been and how flamboyant he is. And people just don't feel he's been a champion. Like what? His last biggest fight was on the undercard of Logan. Was it Logan Paul in the KSI, the YouTube fight?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah, the Logan Paul.
That was his last kind of stage. And that performance, people were kind of arguing that he was a bit. People were kind of saying, do you know what? Haney's not really what I thought he was. The dream and all this isn't there. So I think he has to get an emphatic win. He's put a lot of pressure on himself because of the way he's spoken and how he's made some comments and how his dad's been kind of getting involved in Twitter beefs and social media wars. So going into it, I think Gamboa's a good opponent because it gives if Devin Haney does get a knockout or beats him in style, it gives him something to talk about. And then ultimately he kind of piggybacks off of Gervonta Tank Davis's name and he's back in the mix as being one of those guys to be reckoned with. And he's up. So, it's all to win for him. All eyes are going to be on him, and let's hope that Devin actually lives up to the expectation because I really like the brand of Devin Haney. What do you think, Dave?
I think we got two things here. Some people, they will want to see him lose against Gamboa because of who he is. Like you just said, the brand as well. He's come from money. He's a rich guy. It's not like he. So the story there is, he's already had it there as well because he comes from that sort of lifestyle and everything like that. Does it make for a good fight? Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'd rather watch that than, it's really controversial now, but something like Paul Logan versus Manny Pacquiao. I'd rather watch an old-fashioned boxing fight than that. I mean, we've mentioned YouTubers and stuff, so it'll be a good scalp for him. And then, hopefully it opens up the door for bigger fights. And the fight that we want to see with Gervonta Davis as well, that'll be excellent, why not? Did you see the thing with Gervonta Davis as well with, I think he tweeted it saying, can you get my picture right in the poster as well? Because it was like a balloon.
It was that Cabbage Patch. There's that image when he had put on weight and they changed his face to like Cabbage Patch doll. Or they made, I don't know if it's probably, I'm showing my age there because a lot of people are like, what's a Cabbage Patch though? But yeah.
But laughing a joke aside, I'd like to see that fight more, but maybe that he has to win emphatically.
Yeah.
It can't be another, a hollowed victory or a split decision or anything like that. Ideally, if he was to ask the gods, then it would be a stoppage or a knockout of Gamboa. And that's what people want to see, but people will see him lose, I think. And again, with the sort of gift of the belt, it wasn't his sort of choice, was it? I mean, that's the WBC, isn't it? They elevated him to what's that champion called now when they give you the belt?
Franchise.
Franchise, yeah.
Franchise champion, which is the belt is yours, and that's not his choice at the end of the day, is it? That's just boxing politics, isn't it? Yeah.
No. And I think you guys are right. I mean, I'm probably just teasing him because you know what it is. I hate that whole franchise champion thing, and I hate that Devin Haney just wasn't ordered to fight. And I'm going to throw a name in there because I think you got a question. It's slightly off topic, but you got a question. What's going on with the management? Is that I mean, Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell were scheduled to fight. I want to say that's been signed. And you're saying to yourself, why hasn't somebody pushed Luke Campbell forward to fight Devin Haney? Because as you've alluded to, this belt was delivered to him via email, so he's not actually defeat anybody. Now he's fighting Gamboa, who's probably like, you know, he's been beat by Crawford, beat by Tank Davis, and you've got Luke Campbell, who to me is a good fighter, and I think that shows all the level Devin Haney is at. Unless Devin Haney stops Gamboa in the first round, which still is not a good look, are we really going to know what level he operates at in that division?
Nah, we're not. Luke Campbell. I mean, Devin Haney was talking. Yeah, Devin Haney was talking a big game when Eddie was doing his lives in lockdown, and when he was on live with Luke Campbell. I remember seeing that, and it was like, "Come on, Lukey, let's get this on," or whatever. And now it's on this fighting Gamboa. But I would just like to see that fight between Luke Campbell. I feel that Devin Haney should have no worries, not no worries, but he should feel confident knowing that he's been sparring with the likes of people like Lomachenko, and he's also done a number of rounds and been a big sparring partner to Jorge Linares. So he shouldn't really be fearing someone, not fearing, but that fight with Luke Campbell. If you are confident that you're at that level, you should be like, Eddie, get me in. I'm your biggest star in the zone right now. Get me in.
And you've seen that message, or you've seen a comment from Pigeon Cowden Beef, a great name, by the way. Haney versus Gamboa is a terrible fight. Gamboa is about 38. I mean, look, I tend to agree with you, you know, and also don't forget the number to call in. But yeah, I would agree. For me, whilst, you know, we're happy boxing is back, and I understand he's been out, you know, he had the surgery, but I just think it's just bad. I think it's bad because there's nothing to say after Gamboa. He's going to go and raise the bar and try to fight Luke Campbell or the win of Luke Campbell. And that's the thing. If they had said, you know what, the win of Luke Campbell, Ryan Garcia is fighting that. I've not heard it, so, you know, happily to be corrected. Let us know in the comments. But if that's not been scheduled, then for me, Haney, yeah, I'm struggling to really rate this fight. I'll be honest. I'm struggling to rate it.
I mean, it can happen. I mean, all parties are some way linked to the same promotional banner, aren't they? Apart from Ryan Golden Boy, who's got the beef now with Oscar De La Hoya, I don't know, but they're still signed, aren't they? In some
it's not a DAZN though. It's still linked via DAZN, so they're all kind of DAZN affiliated.
Ideally, that's what should happen in you know, everything's right. But now we've seen, you know, YouTuber Paul Logan calling out Ryan Garcia and so on and so forth, and I'm thinking, why did you have to speak? I want to see the other fight. You know, what are your thoughts on that? We just want to see that, you know, Ryan Garcia and Luke Campbell, then the winner to fight Devin Haney and Gamboa, right? We don't need Paul. What's his name? Logan Paul.
No, of course. But the WBC has always had issues. The WBC have always had issues in terms of alignment, allocation to sanctions and mandatory. So that doesn't surprise me. This franchise thing, I just think it's utter bollocks, bro. Like it's complete bollocks. But I just think that's a good little move for Devin and Tank to get their little kind of rivalry or whatever for Floyd to take on, you know. That's going to be interesting. But I'm actually, also side note though, I'm actually interested in seeing Tank versus the crew, Santa Cruz. Yeah, that's a good fight. It's not one that I think he'll win though. I don't think it's a straightforward. I don't think
exactly.
That's.
Yeah, no, I mean 100%. And Dave, you can obviously chip him up. Yeah, I agree with you. It's not a walk in the park. Like Santa Cruz live, man.
Santa Cruz is about it.
He's exactly, and I think people might underestimate how much he's going to be up for this fight, just period. Because, you know, it's a good name, it's a big scalp, and, you know, it's kind of like in the domestic American rivalry. For me, I think, yeah, Santa Cruz is going to be hugely up for this fight, like the Frampton rematch where he got his revenge. And yeah, I agree. I'm leaning towards Tank Davis, but yeah, I'm going to wait till we get closer and see if he's making weight.
Yeah, man. No, for sure.
The thing that is, isn't it? The weight. I mean, do you remember when he was here for one of Ryan Walsh, and actually making weight was the problem, wasn't it? I remember waiting outside at the presser, saying, "Oh, he hasn't made weight yet. Let's go again. He hasn't made weight yet." And were you there for that one? We had to make weight about 4 times.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
ridiculous, wasn't it?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, and hopefully he makes weight this time. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, for sure. Guys, am I right in thinking Mahrez and Santa Cruz had it on, and Santa Cruz knocked him out with a stoppage?
Mahrez, who's
Was it a points victory?
when you say Mahrez?
Abner Mahrez.
Oh yes, yeah. Abner Mahrez. Yeah.
Sorry, I should have said Abner Mahrez.
Yeah, I was thinking. My mind was I was thinking the Leicester player, but no, you're right. Yeah, Abner Mahrez. That is correct.
Yeah, like he, I remember he gave and Mahrez was talking about how, you know, Santa Cruz is very, very like physical. Like he's really, really intense in the ring. He'd obviously love to have a rematch with him, but or someone like Tank Davis, but he just doesn't feel he's physically ready yet to be able to be at that level coming off a big layoff. So it's actually going to be a really good fight to see. And hopefully we can get your predictions, Dave, near the time and get something on, because that's going to be an interesting one.
100%. And the styles as well. The styles going to make for a great fight. So I think one of the other topics that was on the list that we didn't talk about was the winner of the MTK Golden Contract, Mr. O'Hara Davis.
Two times.
Five Guys, Nando's.
Five Guys, Nando's burger.
I mean, guys, when we, I mean, look, I gotta say congratulations to him for winning the tournament. Where does he go from here?
Tough question, Dave. So tough. I'm gonna let you go first, bro.
Very, very. Thanks for that, Sam.
You know what that's what you call bottling.
Yeah.
The first thing is he needs. It's very tough because the division is lit. It's just a very, very difficult thing. I think he needs to just take time to assess, soak up the victory, and not jump into something very fast like a Josh Taylor thing again all over again. Make the decision that's right for his career, because I think the Josh Taylor fight came too soon, in my opinion, and then that kind of pushed his career back slightly. I like Tank Davis. I think he's our country's, and I mean this for value in terms of the things he says and everything like that, like our country's Adrian Broner, as in he's outspoken, he doesn't give a shit, he'll say what he wants, and he puts bums on seats, right? So with that as well, I think he needs to basically assess where he goes next, but not jump into something completely crazy like another next Josh Taylor or something completely ludicrous like that. Because if his thing now is I want to use this platform to grow and elevate and get some more victories, build my confidence up, that's what you should be doing.
Yeah, of course. No, I completely agree. I think with him, I think now because he's won the gold, even before the final with the Golden Contract, O'Hara's become a bit more vocal, a bit more social, a bit back to the ways where he was when he was with Eddie Hearn, you know. And those days for him was he was at his best. He was being, you know, everyone that kind of hated him, but people still wanted to watch him lose at the same time. I think if he finds that kind of medium in between that and actually just focusing more on fighting, I think he's going to be able to continue his career and kind of push on with his tough division. But ultimately, he's now won the Golden Contract. He had that Sky Sports exposure. He's kind of getting back. And do you know what, guys? Don't be surprised if Eddie re-signs him. Do not be surprised if Eddie re-signs him and they start getting the work on them, and it's back to where he started. I mean, you know, it's good to see.
And you see in the comments there from
before, like with the, you know, some of his outlandish comments before. Look, people have said stuff before, and it's been put to bed. And you know, I think he's, you know, matured as a person. If that makes any sense.
No, 100%, mate. I thought that situation with him leading to him kind of terminating his contracts with Matchroom, I do feel that was a bit unfair. Don't get me wrong, he must have done a lot of things in the build-up to wind up Matchroom and wind up Tony Sims or whatever. But if you actually listen to his explanation, and about the guy he was talking about. It had nothing to do with what he said to do with the sun and the disaster in, I think it was the Hillsborough disaster or whatever. I just felt it was very hard done by. I just felt it was very hard done by and wasn't treated in the best way he could have. But ultimately, we do not know what happened behind closed doors besides that. But for them just to drop him like that, he must have been on thin ice with the whole team and falled out with him. Because let's not forget, he was that group. He was part of that matchroom stable with Craig Richards, Conor Ben, Felix Cash, Cordina. He was part of the family, and then just to get plucked out and just to be on your way, something must have given, something must have happened. But look, glad he's back to winning ways. And we look forward to probably catching up with him at some point and hearing that smack talk that we all love and here for, all his girl drama and all that other stuff that he's posting.
I do think with him, I think, like I said, he's done well to get the win because, if you look back, once the contract had been terminated with Matchroom, and then he lost out, he went to Frank Warren, lost to Jack Catterall, and then, he didn't really seem like his career was going anywhere. And MK really revitalized his career. So 100%, I give him his credit for that. I still think, and I'm sure you guys feel the same, it's just that he's in the division is serious. First of all, you got Josh Taylor, and I don't really see any revenge that he's going to get on Josh Taylor, if we're being honest. Then Jack Catterall's in that defense, in that division, who also wants his shot at a title. Then you got the likes of Regis Prograis, Hooker's gone up, but and it's going to kind of a nice segue into the next topic. But the two guys that fought on the weekend, Baranchak versus Zepeda. I mean, those guys delivered an absolute war on the weekend. And I think such a high ask for somebody like O'Hara Davis. I'll be honest, as much as he won the fight, I wasn't impressed with the performance. I felt someone like McKenna, you've got to take it to him. Jack Catterall beat him more or less quite convincingly. A lot of people felt McKenna won that fight. A lot of people were saying it's a close one. So for me, O'Hara needs to do a lot more, but I think he's redeemed himself, and that's the greatest starting place that he could have. So now moving into that Zepeda Baranchak fight, I mean, 8 knockdowns or 9 to finally end the fight. What was your thoughts on that? It was crazy, huh?
So yeah, I mean, I didn't actually watch the fight live or anything. I got sent it in a WhatsApp as a group, and it's actually said, sorry for I'm swearing here, but it said, check this shit out. Literally, it looked like a computer game, didn't it? To be fair, not that. But we've been starved of something like this. This again, it's not a freak show, but the kind of freak show quality, which is, you got to check this out. This is mental. Had I heard of these two before? Not really, no. But the fight was something, worth watching.
100%. Sam?
Bro, I missed the memo. I missed the memo too late. But no, I heard about it. I heard it was crazy. Box is back, man. That's all we can say. It's
what
crazy.
I will say is, because Baranchak lost to Josh Taylor. So that's how I knew of him. I didn't look out for this fight. I knew it was on. I didn't think too much. I'll be honest with you. Last comment. I didn't think too much of it. But what I did think, which was interesting, is, and I don't know if it's just me, but sometimes I feel like, sometimes I feel like, how can I say it without being? Sometimes I feel with the slugfest, as much as they're great to watch, I don't really go mad for them. I'm going to be honest. I do like to see the silky, the skillful boxer, hit and don't get hit. This delivered. But I think Terence Crawford put a tweet out the next day, and it was like, well, now everybody's enjoyed, that entertainment. Who's checking up on Baranchak's health? And I do think there's an element of, when I see the sluggers, I just think it's not sustainable long term. It's just not sustainable. It was a great fight. I think, as you said, Dave, we've been starved of action, so it was great to see it. And I was just like, yeah, you can't keep fighting like that, Baranchak, man. Your talent, you've got to use that talent. You fought at a good level as an amateur as well. You've got to do a bit better than that. So I was slightly critical, but overall it was entertaining. I have to be honest there.
It was entertaining. It was, and I think that fight albeit it will be on YouTube, getting passed around in WhatsApp groups and Facebook, and it will be just one of those things which will pick up traction. And who knows, it could be the start of something big, where promoters will pick up, this freak show-esque type of thing, well, which is, let's get them out again, guys. Come on, let's make trilogy or a rubber match. Let's see what happens. So could be the start of something big here.
Big time. And as you're speaking about that, I was going to say they're barred by the Las Vegas Athletic Commission. But another fight, which I think is taking place in Las Vegas, Lomachenko versus Lopez, and it's now been agreed that it will be televised on UK TV, Fight TV. They will be doing a pay-per-view for £10 or $9.99 if you like. I mean, let's talk about as fans. I want to kind of ask you guys as fans, you think Bob Arum made some comments saying Sky and BT are taking the piss, they're not respecting fans, and they should put this fight on their respective channels. He said, I can't give it to you for free, but you should be putting it on there. This guy's going back to, I agree with what you say. But in regards to Bob Arum and that comment around the fight, do you think that Sky and BT have done us dirty not showing that fight?
Sorry, you first, Sam.
I think so. I think, ultimately they're supposed to deliver experience. If UK is supposed to be the new mecca of boxing, then they should be pulling their finger out to do whatever they can to get this fight on the line. It's definitely a fight that's going to strike the hardcore boxing fans, the outlets, people like ourselves. Everyone's going to be talking about it. It's just the case of why not? Why hasn't this happened? Why isn't this happening? Why is this not happening? Maybe it could be a move. Maybe it could be a power move from stateside to try and shut it out. But I'm not too sure on why, because the channels are normally pretty good at being able to air this stuff. So, yeah, it's a bit disappointed, that's all. So, in answer to the question, they've done us a little bit dirty. Now you've got stream.
Yeah. To be fair, I have used Fight TV once, and it's a good platform, to be fair. I used it. There was a new promotional company started called Tough Banner Promotions, where Ty Mitchell was fighting, friend of Dillian White and Tyson Fury, and quite a very good boxer, to be fair. So I watched him. So I paid for that. It's a good platform. You can stream it to your TV and stuff. But I agree with you, Sam. I think it's an injustice to the fans that know who Lomachenko is, know who Lopez is, wants to see them get it on. And I don't know, I'm just thinking maybe the TV heads are thinking, not enough people know who these two people are and stuff. And
what's the time difference?
I mean, fair enough. It's about 4. So that fight will probably come on at around 4, maybe 5 a.m. I think it's Vegas. So
we've done that before. Yeah. We've done that before. Like, it doesn't... People will stay up for fights. But
in lockdown, in Corona, will people really stay up for fights? Question.
I know us three would.
Yeah. Mate, I'm staying up.
The hardcores will, won't they? They will, but you're talking about...
And the thing
is, aren't you? That's what you're talking about. The casual fans. Will they stay up? Yeah, there's an argument they probably won't.
Yeah. I mean, I think I definitely get your point. But I think they're still missing a trick, because even if they don't stay up for it, you know what I mean? They could still do an 8 a.m. showing. So, okay, you're going to know the result. You don't know the result. But guess what? If you know that it's coming on at 8 a.m., like the replay, you just watch it. They don't have to charge us anything for it. And I agree with both of you. I think whilst there is probably a business decision, I think you've got to look at it as this is like huge. These two names, like not Lopez, maybe not as much, but everybody sees Lomachenko as this wizard. We call him the Matrix, high tech. We know he's got a great skill set. And Lopez is kind of coming into this with the power, natural 135 pounder. So I think there's a story there, and it would be easy for the likes of Adam Smith, John. I mean, for me, I think it's a bit of a shame. And I would say it kind of makes me question the whole BT Frank Warren deal, because you can also argue BT should have just snapped that up the standard, because I thought ESPN were one of their partners. Josh Taylor fight was showed on ESPN. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
All the big fights seem to go on ESPN. So, like, why are we not getting the same deal? So, yeah, that's me having a moan.
Strange. It's very, very strange because, you know, when you look at it, people would, again, not the hardcore boxing fans, but some people would rather show your KSI versus Paul Logan, no disrespect, over this. And I would, you know, I'm gutted. Do you remember when, obviously everyone remembers when Ricky Hatton fought Mayweather?
Mm-hmm.
People at that time, if I'm being honest, casual, did not know who Mayweather was.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I remember that was his fight that brought the UK scene on board, because remember he was a Man City, Hatton's a big Man City supporter, and he wore the United on the press run, and it was just
the press run was amazing because it was like a comedy sketch from Ricky Hatton. He was just like laying into Mayweather. It was brilliant, but they didn't know who Mayweather was, but they still put that fight on.
Exactly.
You know? So I mean, this could be Lomachenko from that party.
Exactly. And Dave, I go back to your initial point. I'm going to be honest. If you've got the audacity to put YouTube fighters on at that time in the morning, because they're on for me, like, Sky should be chomping at the bit. Now, Sky probably could say, listen, that's BT's partner. We don't need to be involved. I think that's probably the best leg they can stand on. BT should be out here showing that. I think it's a big disgrace. But it is what it is. Fight TV, $9.99. So we're all gonna get our money ready and just swipe. So before we head off, guys, I just want to say, obviously we saw the news around Eddie Hearn. So hopefully he has a safe recovery. He's in lockdown for 2 weeks now. But one thing that we may have missed out of is he was due to meet Frank Warren this week.
Their lunch day.
Their lunch day. I mean,
can you imagine the Instagram picture?
and Cougar was already saying he's going to be out there waiting for them to walk out. But what I do think, I mean, obviously we're going to all agree and say probably it's good for boxing. But from that list of fights, I want you to tell me one fight you would like to see made, sort of like first, if you had a choice.
Ooh. So many mouth-watering fights on that one, isn't there? I've got two that intrigue me. Mm-hmm. Okay, I've already spoke about Shiraz versus Cheeseman, so I've already mentioned that one. But there's two. There's Buatsi Yard, and I'd like to see Denzel Bentley versus Felix Cash. I just like to see
fight.
Ooh, yeah.
What would happen there?
Cash has got a lot to prove as well, because he hasn't really. He's similar to Anthony Gogo in the sense where he's just had injury after injury and hasn't been able to really get himself out. I remember he had a thing with. I remember he had a operation with his hand. But no, those are great choices for me. I don't know. The Hamza Shiraz, obviously, with Ted Cheeseman, that would be my kind of ideal. Be there. I would love to see that at York Hall, like in the environment of York. With the Muslim community on one side and the Bermondsey boys on the other, and everyone just screaming, that would be rocking. That would be electric. Besides that, I would also like to see Dubois versus Fabio Ward.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, I'd like to see that because I like that. I think he's the kind of guy that could take Dubois' punches, and plus he get to throw him as well. So the bombs will kind of obviously I know he's going to fight Joyce, and what happens from there. But those two guys would be a dust up, like a slug,
like an 80s sort of weight fight,
big athletic, both muscle bound kind of guys as well. No, they have similar kind of physiques and structures, so I could just imagine that the punches being exchanged would be crazy.
No, perfect. I mean, I'll be honest, I've not even got two. I've got one, and I think it's probably one, Liam Williams versus Andrade. Don't ask me why. I think Liam Williams is a good fighter. I don't know the level he's really at, obviously, since that loss to Smith. And I feel the same about Andrade. I remember, 3 years ago, a few of us were talking about Andrade like he was the next biggest thing, and he's not really delivered much. The DAZN thing, he's had one or two good fights. Now, admittedly, the Billy Joe Saunders did not go ahead. That's not his fault. But I think that him against Liam Williams, I think the contrast in styles would make for a really entertaining fight because Liam Williams would just be trying to hunt him, and he's got a bit of that Warrington vibe. Even though he's like hooligan, like he can be successful. You know, he's a decent fighter. He's got good ring IQ. So that's probably the one fight I'd like to see amongst the two camps if we could. Yeah.
That would be a very, very, very good fight. I mean, some people just reach for the obvious, which is Dubois, Joshua, or something like that. But I think that's too obvious, isn't it? We want to see these intriguing sort of battles.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right, Coach. I mean, is it his fault that he hasn't been? That nothing's happened. I mean, I can't blame him for that. But
it was a year ago, right? That Billy Joe Saunders thing was almost a year ago. So, like, do something.
There's prices there, isn't there? To be fair, at middleweight.
Exactly.
Serious talent, though. Serious talent.
Yeah.
That's going to be a good fight. He's fighting this weekend as well, actually. So.
Exactly. Yeah, I think I just realised that as well. I think he's fighting this weekend. So. And so before we head off, guys, I know I said that, but we're coming up to that hour mark. You do want to get your thoughts on the rumours. I have to say, not boasting here, but I had heard this a while ago about Mark Whelan not being the coach, but not necessarily that decision. I want to know your thoughts on the decision for Wilder to start working with Malik King Scott more and having him in his corner. What's your thoughts? So by Sam's face, that's news to him.
No, Malik King Scott. Every time I think of his name, I think of all his posts. Shout out to him, by the way, with his misses.
You know what? They're gonna come for him, bro.
Do you know what they're gonna do? Because Wilder posts a lot of pictures up with his misses and kissing her and that. So those two together, that's like a perfect match made in heaven, boy. I can just imagine the memes coming out for that. But they're gonna be like, you. Mark for this, but no. Malik seems to know what he's talking about. He's a big supporter of raps and always watching and supporting us. So, in all seriousness, I think that could be a very good partnership. But do I think he's got any experience, or do I know of any experience he's had at that top level? You're fighting a guy who's at an all-time high, being the Gypsy King. And to be honest, I'm a big fan of Tyson Fury, but just to put another spanner in the works and to make everyone know that everyone can get smoked, I would love to see Deontay Wilder beat the Gypsy King, because that would just screw up the whole heavyweight division again, and everything's all back to reset. And Dylan White's now thinking, oh, I can jump on this. And then Joseph Parker can stop being a kiss ass to Tyson Fury and start thinking, oh, I better kind of see if I can get myself back here. Because after last week's show, when you and Daryl noted that out, but yeah, ultimately, in terms of his new trainer, Malik Scott, it's a risk, but if it pays off, it's one that's going to be amazing, right? I mean, Ben Davison with Tyson Fury, and look how that paid off. So, you just got to be able to look and see. Maybe he just wanted to change. Maybe those guys didn't get on. And, I think the towel played a massive part in it, but who knows?
Yeah. Dave?
Yeah, I think it's kind of sad as well. Someone who's been there from day one. Braden's been there, and he possibly. I mean, we don't know what happened in that corner ultimately because we weren't there. But just to think, someone throws the towel in, they're doing it for a reason. It's a split-second thing. Yeah. He probably saw, Wilder get hurt, which he did, and he thought he made the right call at that time in that split moment and second. Best of luck to Deontay Wilder when he takes on the thing. He's ultimately made the choice that Malik Scott is in his corner for a reason, and he's done it because he doesn't want to lose, does he? He's doing it as his game plan to win. You're right. When Tyson Fury changed camp over to the new Kronk gym with Sugar Hill, he did that for a reason. It paid off. So hats off to him. If he can see an advantage in Malik Scott, then why not? But it has to go out to Braden, who's been there from a very long time, and is gutting in that respect. If we can be empathetic, So yeah, he's been in most of his title. In fact, all of his title defenses, apart from this next one. Now he'll probably be watching on TV as well. He'll probably be watching and having that sort of. It'll be remorseful and bittersweet as well, won't it? If he does win, I suppose.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. Of course.
I think you guys nailed it perfectly on both angles. Maybe there was tension. so he wanted to bring in something new. But I think, like you said, Dave, I think Braylon acted out of concern for Wilder. So, you would hope that they don't, I'm going to say disrespect him, but, they haven't thrown him under the bus totally. Like it's one of those things. You just got to say, you know what, move forward. I just hope that we get that third fight. that's all I want. That's all I want to see is that third fight. Because you know what, ultimately it then gets us towards a huge super heavyweight fight. Tyson wins, is more than likely, but Tyson or Wilder win. I do think they're going to go straight for Joshua. I think the winner of that third is making a beeline straight for Joshua. So
especially now there's no WBC mandatory going to be out the way, because I think that will all reset. I don't feel Dylan White was never going to fight in February 2021. In my eyes, I never saw it. I believe it when I see it. Especially after the loss, even I'm pretty sure he will win against Povetkin, but even still, then he's still got a lot of politics to navigate himself through to get himself in that position. So I'm just here. I'm all here for it. Post lockdown, when the whole fans and the gates come in, like I could just imagine that if it's whether it's a AJ Wilder or AJ Fury, I think it does huge, and something that's going to be iconic. So I'm looking forward to it.
It's a shame, isn't it? Because like back in the day, we always become nostalgic and we think, oh yeah, back in the day they would have fought, and if it was the likes of Ali, Fraser, Holmes, and Foreman and everything like that. But we're forgetting one thing: those fights weren't made overnight. Though they still took time. There were still loads of obstacles and hurdles. When it was Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, that took time. When Bruno was in the mix as well, things like this, they just take time. And we kind of get nostalgic and look to the past and think, oh, it was easily done back then, back in the 80s and 70s. But there's more hurdles. Once the AJ and Fury thing has come to an end, then we look back 10 years later and we say, oh, why don't these new guys fight? AJ and Fury fought, didn't they?
And you know what, Dave? I would say so. There's a book by George Kimball, Four Kings. It literally emphasizes what you just said there. And when I read the book, it made me realize that, hang on a minute, like Sugar Ray, Duran, Tommy Hearns, like these guys, they didn't just haggle. They wasn't just like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, one after each other. Believe me, there was a huge gap. And the best example, which they never speak about, is Sugar Ray Leonard versus Hagler. I mean, Sugar Ray Leonard even had a press conference to announce his retirement when everybody thought he was going to announce the fight with Hagler. So you're totally right. There's a narrative, there's a commentary that goes along with these fights, and we just pluck the headlines and say, oh, Joshua didn't fight this, Wilder didn't do this, Fury didn't do this, but there's a narrative underneath. So that's a great point you just made there. So listen, guys, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure as always. Dave, before we go, do you want to just shout out your platforms, let people know where they can find you?
Yeah, so I do a lot of work for the Boxing Voice, so you can catch my interviews there, and also follow our journey as well on Punch Out Boxing, which is on Facebook and also Twitter. But big up, Raps on TV. Pleasure to be on, friend of the guest as well. You guys have been great, and if you need me anytime, just let me know.
100%. So, guys, just remember.
Yeah. I was gonna say, let's get some post-fight reactions on the live. Let's get that going, and let's start doing some predictions. I want to get together.
Well, this weekend you got off. You got off scot-free. There's no real fights, no real clashes. Yeah. The following weekend is going to be Lomachenko versus Lopez. So yeah, looking forward to doing a breakdown on that. That's going to be cracking.
Yeah, I'll just say that now.
Exactly. So guys, thank you very much as per usual. I'm going to sign out, but take care. All the best.
Yes, guys.